Hey, what's up, guys? Long time no see. I am sitting on a bench outside the parking garage, and I was like, hey, let's do it. So, the topic of today's video is going to be bad days at treatment. And you're probably already thinking, like, well, yeah, treatment's hard, isn't it? And the answer is yes. The first few days are typically, from my experience, the worst because you have to get acclimated to a new place, new people. If it's your first time there, you might have to be meeting with your team for the first time, and so you have to build that trust with them. And it can just be overall a very scary experience, especially if you're not used to being away from home. Something that helped me, I think, was I had been to college, so I was like already used to some homesickness. But I mean, you still get homesick. But then traditionally, it does get a little bit easier after that. You know, you make some friends, you form some bonds, you learn to trust your therapist, and you start doing the hard work. And every day is hard, but you usually, well, I try to find the light in every day, even if it's just a small thing. Like the other day I had to go out by myself and get spaghetti for dinner, and so I did that at a restaurant, and I found a macaroni noodle in my spaghetti, and I texted my friend, and I was like, life is about the little things, like finding a macaroni noodle in your spaghetti and thinking, silly macaroni noodle, you're not supposed to be there. I'm cheesy, I'm sorry. Okay, but no, that really happened. And so what I'm trying to say is, like, it does get better. I don't want to necessarily say it gets easier because it's hard every day, but it does get better. So what I want to talk about is the bad days that kind of give you whiplash, like hit you out of nowhere, what's going on, I hate everything, because those happen too. And like, I want to be like upfront, like vulnerable about it, because I don't want you to think that, you know, like it's all just like this little ups and little downs. Like, no, sometimes it's like whoosh. So I'm going to talk about my epically tragic Wednesday that happened last week. So I woke up and I was feeling okay. You know, breakfast came around and I was like, okay, like this is hard because breakfast is the meal that I have the most exchanges at, which I just like reiterate what exchanges are. It's just like food groups. But for breakfast specifically, I have like the most exchanges. I have I don't even know how many starched, how many pro, but it's plenty. And so my stomach always hurts before I'm done, which is hard. But you know, that's every day, and I'm like, okay, like I expect it, like I know what I'm doing, I know how to pace myself and deal with some general discomfort after meals. Usually heating pack is sufficient, and yeah. But so breakfast went well. I completed. I went to whatever group we had. I forget what group it was already. It might have been body acceptance. I don't know. But and then so on Wednesdays, what we do at my treatment center is we have restaurant outing, which is not everybody goes. Only some people go. But like everybody will go at some point, but only like 5 to 6 people go at a particular time. And this Wednesday I was not going, so I was staying back with the other people who weren't going. And what we had instead was a meditation group, which was optional, so I didn't do it for obvious reasons. If you know me, I can't sit still. But yeah, so we had this meditation group, except it didn't really happen. And so we were like, can we watch TV? And they were like, no. And we were like, what are we going to do? And so I started feeling really, really anxious and trapped. And I had tried to communicate that to like one of the TAs, but I don't think I did a very good job because they were just like, Sarah, like, sit down, like, stop pacing, like, you can't be doing that. And I was like, so my anxiety got worse and worse. And for those of you who don't know, I suffer from panic attacks. So I ended up having a panic attack, and I had no idea why I was panicking, which only made it worse because I was thinking, why am I panicking? Oh my God, I'm gonna die because I'm panicking. And it's just a really bad situation overall. Nobody could really figure out a way to like calm me down. I do remember at one point there was an ice pack dropped in my lap that didn't really register to me because I was in the middle of believing that I was going to die. But eventually I was able to calm myself down, which is something that I've been working on, just like by doing like physical grounding, like feeling the floor beneath you, feeling the chair you're sitting on, and saying like a couple things you can see, a couple things you can smell, a couple things you can hear. It's really beneficial, at least for me, in terms of anxiety and panic. So I did that, and then after that I was just kind of like crying in a fetal position on the couch for a while, and I asked somebody to email my therapist because my therapist was out that day, and I asked if I could talk to her, and I don't know what exactly they said in the email, but her response was that she couldn't meet with me and that I should just use my skills. And in that moment I was like, what are skills? What? I don't know. I just felt so anxious and so irritable and so completely full of overwhelming emotions that I was like, I don't know what to do. And so basically I spent the rest of the day crying on and off, which for me, I don't like to let myself cry, but I couldn't stop. It was just coming and coming. And people were like, Sarah, like, what's going on? Like, are you okay? And I was like, no, I'm not okay. Because usually, you know, like I'm like the happy one, or not happy, but just like, you know, positive. But I have been crying like all day, on and off, and crying through groups and crying through meals, and it was rough. And then finally, after dinner, oh, by the way, I didn't complete dinner because I was too overwhelmed, and I still am beating myself up for that, which I shouldn't be, but I am. But, you know, flaws. Recovery is not perfect. After dinner, the therapy dogs came to visit, and I just snuggled one for 45 minutes, and honestly, it calmed me down so much that I was able to just decompress, let go of whatever panic that I was dealing with in that moment, and I felt safe again. I felt like, you know, everything was kind of not really okay per se, but neutral. I wasn't in any danger, and I just felt calm. And so that is when I realized that I need to get Toby certified as a therapy dog because I need him. But that was a really, really bad day. I remember I went to bed. I didn't even brush my teeth. I just like threw myself into bed with my clothes on. I was like done. I was so done. But you know what? I woke up the next morning and I ate breakfast and I went to group and I did the things and I was able to talk to my therapist. And so I guess my point is, if I've bored you with this story, the bad days end, and they might hit you out of nowhere, and maybe they might last for more than one day, but they do end. Everything is temporary. That's something my mom always has to remind me, because I'm like, is this going to be forever? And she's like, honey, no, it's going to be temporary. And so that's something that I hold on to, and I hope that's something that you can hold on to if you're going through a hard time, whether or not it's with an eating disorder, just anything at all. Just know that there's light coming, and you're gonna make it. So that was my really bad day. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, if you could please subscribe and share so that we can get the word out there about eating disorders and stop the stigma. So I hope that, I hope that you guys have a really great day, and feel free to message me or comment or whatever you want to do, because I want to talk to you. And if you have any questions, I want to make a video about people's questions so that I can answer them. So that would be really cool if you could just shoot me like a question. So yeah, and bless you and good luck in your recovery and keep going.